What can a person learn, know right now in 10 minutes that will be useful for the rest of their life? What to do if someone is having a seizure? 1. Try and move nearby furniture if possible so the patient doesn't hurt themselves. 2. Let them get on with it. 3. Once the seizure is over, move them somewhere safe and comfortable, a bed if at all possible, and keep them warm. Anyone with epilepsy will have done this many times before, and an ambulance is not necessary. Save it for someone who needs it. If it is someone's first seizure or you are not sure, dial 999/112/911/ whatever. If a seizure lasts more than 2 minutes, call the emergency services. If a person has more than one seizure without regaining consciousness, call the emergency services. Never put anything in their mouth. You run the danger of choking them, and never try to restrain them. You will get hurt. I have epilepsy and it scares the life out of me that if I have a seizure on the street people won't know what to do. Another LPT, if you are epileptic or diabetic etc., inform friends/co-workers/etc. and tell them what to do in an emergency. For some unknown reason, this is hardly ever taught in layman's first aid. Don't know about those in the medical profession. To stop caring about others' opinions, or as David Foster Wallace puts it, you will become way less concerned with what other people think of you when you realize how seldom they do. Metacognition, or the awareness and understanding of one's thought processes. In other words, you know when you don't know something, and as a result, you put forth effort to learn it. The fact that you don't actually have to be friends with people you don't like and that you can work with people you wouldn't want to be friends with. The 80-20 rule or Pareto principle. Wiki gives a fairly dry version of it, but effectively you use it in life as do the 20% that gets you 80% of what you want. It's important to understand in all aspects of life because perfection is usually worthless. The effort to squeeze the last drops out are simply not worth the juice. You determine where the easy part of something is and do it. Eventually you do more, but focusing on getting that 20% is the first step to major progress. If the act of getting to the gym ends up in you successfully doing some form of exercise that you want to be doing, then focus on getting to the gym. That's the 20%. After you have the routine and space made in your life for getting to the gym, then the rest will follow. It's endlessly effective in helping you for the rest of your life with almost anything. Knowing a simple one-off trick is less important than learning a rule for understanding how to live happily. 2 rules. 1. Assume nothing. 2. Follow up and check. My father taught me these, and I've found that virtually every major fuck-up in my life can be traced back to ignoring one of them. This is why checklists, even for highly trained, experienced professionals, improve outcomes dramatically. Surgeons use checklists, airline pilots use checklists, nuclear engineers use checklists. Started working in business. Golden rules to live by that I had to learn via the hard way. The proper way to perform CPR. You very well could save someone's life, but the number 1 rule is to directly command someone to call 911. If you say somebody call 911 inches, everyone will just look around hoping someone else will do it. You need to point to someone and tell them they specifically need to call for help. It helps if you make eye contact and point at them. Not kidding. Why? Because you need to be authoritative, and people in a flap tend to take directions from a person who has assumed an authoritative role. But more than that, if you can't make eye contact with a person long enough to point at them and instruct them, then they are probably in a panic and will not focus enough to be able to make the call or to communicate with emergency effectively. If you bump into an asshole in the morning, you bumped into an asshole. If you bump into assholes all day, you're the asshole. Or, you work in retail. X% of Y equals Y% of X. If you need to find 3% of 50, you can instead find 50% of 3, which is 1.5. In Excel, select all by using Ctrl+A. I'm sure you all knew. But then when you press the following separately after Alt+H+O+I, voila, All your columns width are now auto-fitted. Change the eye to for height. How to correctly stab someone with an EpiPen. My girlfriend has a peanut allergy and I really would love to live in a world where more people know the correct way to use that instrument. Step 1. Take off the cap. It's blue. This is the side that points away from their body. Step 1.5. Make sure you won't hit their phone. Step 2. Stab that shit into their leg. Upper outer thigh through any non-super thick pants is fine. Jeans equals fine thumb holding the sides. You stab them with the orange side. Step 3, hold it there for 3 seconds. It used to say 10 seconds. EMT guy in comments says FDA recently changed this to 3 seconds. Step 4, call 911. EpiPens by time not fix the problem entirely. Do not be gentle. Bruises heal. Being gentle often causes a muscle twitch. Their reflex will be to jerk away, and if the needle comes out without giving them the dose, you can't just re-stab them. Hold their leg from the inside. Otherwise it could cause a large cut that almost always results in a scar associated with unpleasant memories. Also rub the injection site for a few seconds after you remove it from their skin. It will help get it into their bloodstream faster. If you have computer data that is very important and will probably be a huge hit in the box office because the goddamn series is finally over, then don't store it on one place. Keep at least one backup on a computer that will never see the light of the internet, so if by chance a massive ransomware attack comes by, you don't potentially lose millions of dollars and thousands of hours of work. Edit: Pirates of the Caribbean was not victim of the global ransomware attack. My mistake. But it is being held for ransom. 3-2-1 rule. 3 backups in 2 places, at least one off-site. How to recognize a stroke. It could save a life one day. Just remember FAST, face. Ask them to smile. Is one side of their face drooping? Arms. Ask them to lift both arms. Is one arm drifting downwards? Speech. Ask them to repeat a simple phrase. Is their speech slurred? Time. If you see any of these signs, then get help immediately. A stroke happens when blood is cut off from part of the brain, and symptoms can appear even 24 hours in advance. It is fatal if unattended, so be aware. Corny as hell, but learning to say no. Some people find it almost impossible to say that tiny word. There are a bunch of YouTube videos on it. Seriously? Saying no sometimes in your life will make it a lot easier. Here's the real answer to the how to unclog a toilet using an expedient bucket flush situation. You have just taken a dump at someone else's place, and due to either the sheer volume of crap or using too much TP, you've clogged the toilet when attempting to flush. There is no plunger in sight. You don't want to risk a second flush overflow and make a bad situation worse. Mission: unclog the toilet and leave the bathroom with honor. Execution: look around for the small trash can. Take out the garbage liner, if present. If not already on, turn on exhaust fan. Fill the can with water from the bathtub faucet. Open faucet discreetly as to minimize noise. In one continuous and smooth pour, direct the water toward the hole of the toilet. The steady downpour will break up and push the clog and begin the siphon effect. The toilet will flush, but will leave a measly quantity of water. Flush the toilet to get rid of any stragglers. Replace can liner in can. Ensure shower curtain goes back to original position. Wash hands, turn off exhaust fan and walk out with confidence. Administration and logistics: the small garbage can is the most obvious choice, but may not be available. Be resourceful and look for any containers of opportunity. Females tend to keep containers under the vanity. Command and signal: after proper execution, ensure no trace of the technique is present. This means no drips of water, displaced containers or disturbed surroundings. A professional leaves no traces. Obfuscate questions about the running tub. If challenged, ask the inquisitor if he or she was listening to you. Shit, that will end the conversation. Go ahead and try it. You're welcome. Survivorship bias. The key example is every time you hear about Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg dropping out of college and becoming billionaire, So it should make sense for people to drop out of college and found their tech startup. That's a horrible idea to understand. Back in WW2, they were trying to figure out where planes should be reinforced. So they marked on a diagram where all the bullet holes were on the planes that returned safely from missions. The initial thought was to reinforce the places where the holes were until somebody pointed out that those holes were in the planes that made IT back safely. Planes with holes in the other areas that were not marked on the diagram did not return safely, so they should reinforce those areas instead. Doctor. If I ever win the lottery, I'll be like an XKCD comic and tell everybody to keep buying lottery tickets and never give up on their hope, because if I did it, they can too.